The first day Tara and Tunde stepped back into their father's mansion after the funeral, the air felt heavier than it had ever been. Dust motes floated in the slanted evening light like wandering spirits, drifting through rooms too grand for two fragile children who had suddenly lost everything familiar. The mansion, once alive with laughter, footsteps, and the warm smell of their mother's cooking, now echoed with unsettling silence. At 10 years old, the twins clung to each other the way a drowning swimmer clings to floating wood. Tara's small hand trembled around her brother's as they crossed the polished marble foyer, their eyes darting to the chandelier above, once bright, now dimmed. Madame Ronke, their stepmother, walked ahead of them with a stiff, rehearsed grace. Her high heels clicked sharply across the floor, each step sounding like the punctuation of a sentence she hadn't spoken. She turned only once toward the children and gave them a smile that was polite enough for an audience, but cold enough to send goosebumps racing along their arms. "Come along," she said. "I want to show you where you'll be staying." The twins exchanged a glance. This woman who had smiled brightly at their father during dinner, who had placed gentle hands on their shoulders at church, now seemed carved from ice. They followed her up the staircase, a twisting sweep of shining wood their father once carried them on. Every step made Tara wish she could run back in time, to when her father would laugh and lift them in his arms. But time was cold and unforgiving. Madame Ronke led them to a pair of rooms upstairs. The rooms were spacious, decorated with old furniture and curtains they remembered faintly from their childhood, the ones their mother had chosen. But something was off. Everything felt rearranged. Their mother's painting, once hung lovingly at the corner of the hall, was gone. Their father's favorite chair was nowhere in sight. "Your things are in here," she said briskly. "And pack quickly. Dinner is in 1 hour. I don't like lateness." Her voice left no space for comfort, no window for softness. She walked away before the twins could ask any questions, her heels echoing down the passage like fading warnings. The moment she disappeared, Tara let out a shaky breath. Do you think she likes us?" Tunde pressed his lips together, trying to act braver than he felt. "Daddy loved her. Maybe she's just sad." But even as he said it, he didn't believe it. Later that night, as the twins lay on unfamiliar beds in a house that felt like a stranger, Tara whispered into the darkness, "I feel like the house is angry." Tunde swallowed hard. "Maybe it's just lonely." They did not know yet that loneliness could be far kinder than what awaited them. The shift happened the very next morning. At breakfast, Ronke greeted the twins with a smile so brittle it looked like it would crack if she held it for too long. "Good morning," she chimed. "I hope you slept well." But her eyes never softened. The table was set with far less food than usual, considering the wealth of the mansion. A small plate of bread, watery tea, and some fruit. Nothing compared to the hearty spreads their father used to lavish on them. "That is for all of us," she said, sliding into her seat. "Eat slowly." Tara blinked. "But, stepmom, Daddy always—" Ronke slammed her cup down so suddenly the children flinched. "I am not your daddy," she snapped. She composed herself quickly, forcing a brittle smile once again. "I mean, I'm not your father, and things will be different now. Eat." The twins exchanged worried glances. As days passed, small cruelties piled like invisible stones on their backs. Meals became smaller, Their chores became harsher. Their belongings, toys, books, even their late mother's necklace Tara cherished, began disappearing one by one. "You don't need childish things," Ronke would say with a tight smile. When visitors came, Ronke transformed into a generous angel, doting on the children with soft touches and sweet words. "These darlings have lost so much," she would say, hand on her heart. "I'm doing my best." But the moment the gate closed behind guests, her mask slipped off like a curtain torn from a stage. She would grab the twins by the arms and hiss, "Ungrateful rats! Don't embarrass me again!" One evening, she stood before the twins while they scrubbed the kitchen floor for the third time. "You think this house will run itself? You live here for free. You work for it." The twins had not asked to be in that house. They had not asked for loss. But in Ronke's eyes, they were burdens, obstacles between her and whatever she wanted. They did not understand her motives yet, but they felt her hatred grow like a creeping shadow. And there was one part of the house they learned quickly to fear: the abandoned wing. The abandoned wing of the mansion had always been off limits, even when their parents were alive. Their mother used to say it was unsafe, old floors, broken pipes. But it had held a softness once, a memory of childhood hide-and-seek and laughter drifting through dusty sunlight. Now it felt like a tomb. It was during one of Ronke's nighttime punishments, triggered by Tara accidentally dropping a glass, that the twins first saw its darkness again. "You like breaking things?" Ronke sneered. "Let me show you what happens to children who don't know how to behave." She dragged them through the dim corridor. The air grew colder as they approached the wing's heavy wooden door. Ronke unlocked it with a key she kept on a chain hidden beneath her blouse. "You will stay here until you learn respect." When she shoved them inside, the door groaned shut with a finality that made Tara's throat tighten. The lock clicked. Her footsteps faded. The abandoned wing stretched like a forgotten museum, filled with dusty paintings, cracked tiles, and old furniture draped in grey sheets. Cobwebs clung to corners like silent warnings. The twins moved slowly, guided only by faint moonlight leaking in from shattered windows. Tunde found the mural first, a large painting on the wall, faded from neglect, depicting a woman with kind eyes holding two small children. "Mom," Tara breathed. "She painted this." Memories washed through them, their mother laughing with a brush in hand, dipping paint in gold and blue. But something was wrong. Tunde lifted a nearby photo frame from the floor. It was cracked, but the image inside showed their family standing in front of the mansion. Their father, their mother, two happy twins. And at the edge of the photo, someone had been torn out. The ragged edge of the photograph hinted at a missing figure their memory could not place. "Who was here?" Tara whispered. Tunde shook his head. "I don't know." That night, as they huddled together on the dusty floor, they heard footsteps outside the door. Ronke, slow, heavy. The footsteps paused, then continued. But once the echoes faded, softer footsteps began. Not Ronke's. These steps were gentle, hesitant, almost searching. The twins froze. A whisper followed, a man's voice. "I'm sorry. I should have never let this happen." Tara grabbed Tunde's hand. "Who's there?" Silence. The voice vanished like smoke in the wind. The twins stayed awake the rest of the night, fear curling around them like a cold blanket. Kunle Adeniyi never intended to get involved. He was a simple mechanic with grease-stained hands, a quiet temperament, and eyes that had seen too much pain for a man of 32. Every night after work, he walked past the Adebayo mansion on his way home. The mansion was a landmark, known for its size and beauty, and once known for the kindness of the man who lived there. Kunle knew the father. Years ago, the man had helped him escape a dangerous situation with local criminals, a situation Kunle had never forgotten.
"He saved my life,"
Kunle often whispered to himself. "I owe him forever." When the man died, Kunle attended the funeral quietly in the back, unseen by everyone except the children who briefly made eye contact with him. He wanted to offer comfort, to tell them stories of their father's bravery, but grief held him silent. Now, every night he walked past the mansion, remembering. 2 weeks after the funeral, the crying began. Faint at first, barely a thread of sound through the iron gates. Kunle stopped mid-step. Was that a child? He listened. The sound faded. The next night, the crying returned, louder, and Kunle felt something churn inside him, something old, something protective. He lingered by the gate longer than usual. A neighbor passing by said, "Those kids, you know, the twins. Their stepmother took over everything. People say she's not treating them right." Kunle felt his jaw tighten, so he waited. 2 nights, 3, 4, and every night the crying returned like a haunting echo. Kunle knew the difference between a child whining and a child suffering, and these cries carried suffering. One night, he heard something else, a scream, short, panicked, then silence. He stepped closer to the gate, gripping it. "What is happening in that house?" he whispered. He made a decision then, the kind of decision that could destroy entire lives or save them. He was going to watch the mansion, every night, even if it meant confronting whatever darkness lived inside. Kunle's late-night surveillance began quietly, a shadow hiding behind hedges, a silhouette on a silent street, the watchful eye of a man determined to understand the danger. What he witnessed over the next week chilled him. A sleek black SUV arrived at the mansion 3 separate nights. Men in dark suits stepped out. Ronke met them at the door, her face tense, her voice low. She would hand them envelopes. They would hand her documents. Once, Kunle heard her say, "It must be done before the month ends. The property transfer depends on it." Kunle frowned. Property transfer? He remembered vaguely overhearing something years ago. The father had written a will leaving everything to the twins. Everything. Something clicked. Something ugly. Inside the house, the twins also noticed changes. They overheard conversations through vents, whispers floating through shadows. "Once they're gone, it will be done," Ronke hissed to one of the men. "We can't keep delaying," the man growled back. "The fire 10 years ago almost exposed everything. You want to repeat that mess?" Ronke's voice trembled in anger. "Don't remind me of that night." The twins froze. Fire? A night they had only vague memories of. Flames, heat, fear. Was it the same fire that killed their parents? Had they been lied to? That night, Tara whispered to her brother, "What did she mean by the fire? And why did she say 10 years ago?" Tunde didn't know, but the fear inside him grew heavier than before. And outside the mansion, Kunle watched through the darkness with clenched fists. Something was happening. Something wrong. Something dangerous. He had no proof, but he had a feeling. A deep, instinctive fear that he was running out of time to save the twins. Tara had always assumed her memories of the fire were dreams, but now they chased her, vivid and sharp as broken glass. In her dream, or memory, she woke to crackling flames and smoke filling the hallway. Her father shouting, her mother crying out, Tunde clutching her shirt in fear. Someone else's voice, a woman's voice, screaming, "Finish it! Finish it now!" Tara jolted awake in her bed, her heart pounding. She ran to Tunde's room. He was awake too, sitting up, sweating. I saw the fire again," he whispered. The twins sat together on the floor and pieced together fragments of memory. The fire had not seemed like an accident in their recollection. There were too many shadows, too much panic, too many voices. They remembered their mother shielding them, their father trying to push someone away, and a woman fleeing. A woman with perfume like the one Ronke wore. Could it be? No, it was impossible. But the seed of suspicion took root in their hearts, and once planted, some seeds grow into forests of fear. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. The twins were cleaning the living room under Ronke's strict supervision when Tara accidentally knocked over a vase, one of Ronke's favorites. It shattered across the tiled floor with a musical series of cracks. Ronke froze. Her face went blank, then slowly twisted into a mask of rage. "You useless, good-for-nothing children!" she screamed. Before the twins could react, she grabbed Tara by the wrist so hard she gasped. Tunde jumped forward. "Leave her alone!" Ronke slapped him across the face, sending him stumbling to the floor. "You want to break my things?" she snarled. "Then let me show you where we keep the broken." She dragged both children toward the abandoned wing. They screamed, begged, cried, but Ronke's fury was unstoppable. She shoved them into the wing and locked the door. Her footsteps faded into silence. Hours passed. The light through the cracked windows dimmed into blue twilight. Tara cried softly in her brother's arms. Tunde pressed his ear to the door, listening for footsteps. Outside the mansion, Kunle stood at his usual spot, but the crying tonight was different, deeper, sharper, more desperate. His heart dropped. They're in danger. Kunle stepped back, took a breath, and made a choice that would change all their lives. He climbed over the gate, slipped into the shadows, and moved toward the abandoned wing. If he had been 1 hour later, the twins might not have survived. The night air was icy as Kunle crept around the mansion's side. He moved with the silent steps of a man who had learned caution the hard way. The abandoned wing towered before him like a dark beast. Kunle pressed his ear against the dirty window. Crying. 2 voices. Small voices. Terrified voices. His pulse raced. Without hesitation, he used a wrench from his belt to pry open the rusted window frame. It took effort. The wood groaned, nails squealed. But finally, the gap widened enough for him to slip inside. Tara screamed when she saw a shadowy figure crawl through the window. Tunde grabbed a broken stick defensively. Kunle raised his hands. "It's okay. It's okay. My name is Kunle. I'm here to help you." They hesitated, but the kindness in his voice, the desperate urgency, made something inside them soften. When they stepped closer, Tara whispered, "You were at Daddy's funeral." Kunle nodded. "Yes, your father helped me once. I won't let anything happen to you." He gathered them gently, lifting them through the window. They ran across the compound toward the fence. But suddenly they stopped, because a light flicked on inside the wing. Ronke. She stepped inside, holding something in her hand, a red container. Gasoline. Kunle's heart thundered. "We have to go, now!" He boosted the twins over the fence, climbed after them, and together they sprinted into the night. Behind them, the abandoned wing lit up with dancing flames as Ronke screamed into the darkness. "Where are you? Where are the brats?" Kunle shielded the children, forcing them to keep running. Tonight, survival meant not looking back. Kunle's old pickup truck sat hidden beneath an almond tree near the road. He threw open the door, ushering the twins inside. Tara was shaking uncontrollably. Tunde clutched her hand, his own fear disguised by his attempt to look brave. As Kunle jumped into the driver's seat and started the engine, he caught sight of figures rushing from the mansion. 3 men. 2 of them the same ones from the black SUV. They were scanning the road. Kunle cursed under his breath. "They're hunting us." He accelerated, tires tearing through gravel. A dark SUV burst out from the mansion gates behind them, headlights blazing. The chase began. Kunle maneuvered through narrow streets he knew well from years of walking them. The SUV followed relentlessly, gaining ground on straight stretches. Tara sobbed quietly. Tunde pressed himself against the seat, eyes wide with terror. "Hold on," Kunle whispered. "I won't let them take you." He took a sharp turn onto a dirt road leading into a bushy back route. The SUV tried to follow, but skidded on loose earth, giving Kunle precious minutes. The car rattled violently, dust swirling everywhere. Kunle's hands gripped the wheel tightly as he navigated the uneven path. Finally, the lights disappeared behind them. Tunde let out a shaky breath. "Where are we going?" Kunle exhaled. "Somewhere safe." And for the first time in weeks, the twins slept. Not peacefully, but without fear of being beaten awake. Kunle drove for hours until the sky turned grey with morning. They reached a small, quiet village far from the city where Kunle's late mother once lived. The house was old but sturdy, surrounded by cassava fields and palm trees. Inside, the atmosphere was gentle. Warm paint, simple furniture, the lingering scent of herbs his mother used to dry on the walls. For the twins, it felt like stepping into another world. Kunle made them warm food and let them rest. For the first time in days, they felt the soft embrace of safety. Later, they sat on the veranda while Kunle prepared tea. Tara looked at him closely. "You knew our father?" Kunle nodded. "He saved my life many years ago. I was in a bad place. He helped me leave it." Tunde tilted his head. "Why didn't we ever meet you?" Kunle's voice softened. "Your stepmother didn't like me." He walked inside and returned with a photograph he had kept hidden. It showed their father, smiling and strong, holding Tara as a toddler and standing beside Tunde. At the edge of the photo was Kunle, but in the photo they saw in the abandoned wing, he had been torn out. "Why?" Tara whispered. Kunle sighed. "Your father trusted me, but someone didn't want him to have people he trusted." The twins exchanged a look. Ronke. Everything pointed to her, and for the first time, the terrifying puzzle pieces began to form a clear picture. Kunle spent the next day making calls and visiting old contacts. He was determined to uncover the truth behind the fire. He returned with a stack of documents and a grave expression. "Tara, Tunde, I need you to hear this." He laid the papers on the table. Police reports, insurance papers, witness testimonies. All of them had been tampered with, altered, falsified. "There was a witness," Kunle said. "A neighbor saw a woman fleeing the house on the night of the fire." Tunde's breath caught. "A woman?" "Yes, he described her, and the description matches Ronke." The room went silent. The earth seemed to tilt beneath them. Kunle continued. "She wasn't your father's wife then. She was involved with him. Affair. But he ended it. She didn't take it well." Tara covered her mouth. "Are you saying she hurt them?" Kunle nodded slowly. "The fire wasn't an accident, and your parents didn't die instantly. They died saving you two." Tara broke down crying. Tunde stared at the wall in shock. Kunle placed a gentle hand on their shoulders. "I promise you, I will protect you, and I will bring the truth to light." But Madame Ronke was not done. The twins were the last obstacle between her and complete ownership of the Adebayo estate. When the twins and Kunle vanished from the mansion, Ronke panicked. She sent men searching every village. She bribed police officers. She lied to neighbors, crying dramatically, "My children! They've been kidnapped!" People helped her search, not knowing the truth. Eventually, she found a clue. A fuel receipt Kunle unknowingly dropped near the mansion gate. It led her toward the rural area where Kunle's mother once lived. One evening, the twins were washing their hands at a basin outside when they saw headlights approaching. A black SUV. Tara's hand trembled. "Tunde, is that—" Tunde's breath stopped. "That's her car." Kunle ran outside as men stepped from the vehicle. He grabbed the twins and guided them into a hidden crawl space beneath the floorboards. "Don't make a sound," he whispered, "no matter what." Ronke entered the house moments later, her heels pounding like death knells. "Where are you, you little brats?" she snarled. "Come out! Come to mommy!" The twins covered their mouths to keep from crying. Kunle confronted Ronke in the living room. "You're done, Ronke. I know everything." Ronke smiled thinly. "You know nothing." But her eyes wavered. Fear flickered behind them. Give me the children, she demanded, or I swear I will make you disappear like their father. Kunle remained still as a rock. You won't touch them. The confrontation ended when a neighbor approached the house, forcing Ronke to retreat. But she left a final warning in the air. I will be back. Kunle knew the safe house was compromised. He also knew Ronke wouldn't stop until the twins were dead. So he made a plan, a dangerous one. He took the twins back to the mansion, not to return them, but to expose Ronke. He hid a recorder inside his shirt. Then he confronted her in the living room of the mansion where she thought she reigned as queen. She entered, surprised and furious. Where are the children? She demanded. Kunle stepped forward. Tell me the truth about the fire. Ronke's face twisted. What fire? The one you set 10 years ago. Silence. Her eyes darted around the room. Her breathing quickened. Kunle pressed. You killed their parents. Ronke snapped. She grabbed a fireplace poker, her face contorting with rage. You think you know anything? You think they didn't deserve it?
You think I will let those brats ruin everything I built? Kunle's recorder captured every word. In her rage, Ronke didn't notice a candle knocked over by her swinging arm. It fell to the rug. Fire spread rapidly across the room. As flames climbed the curtains, police sirens suddenly wailed outside. Someone had tipped them off. Maybe a neighbor, maybe fate. Officers stormed in. Ronke was handcuffed, screaming as flames roared behind her. Kunle rushed out with the recorder. The twins watched from the gate as Ronke was dragged away, her screams echoing through the night. You ruined everything, everything! But the fire she once used to destroy their lives now lit the path to truth. Weeks passed. Investigations confirmed everything Kunle uncovered. Ronke was charged with arson, murder, attempted murder, and fraud. The estate returned to the rightful heirs, Tara and Tunde. But the mansion, once filled with darkness, slowly transformed. Kunle became their legal guardian after the court heard his testimony and saw how fiercely he protected them. The twins asked for one thing: that he live with them as family. The abandoned wing was restored and turned into a memory room for their parents, filled with photographs, letters, and the mural their mother painted. Every morning, Tara and Tunde would go there, sit quietly, and talk to their parents. Not with grief, but with hope. One morning at dawn, Tara held a candle, its flame flickering gently. Tunde placed a hand over hers. Kunle stood beside them, silent but strong. The twins whispered together, Daddy, Mommy, we're safe now. And for the first time in a long, long time, the mansion felt alive again. Not with shadows, but with peace.